What's up, people? Welcome back to Chris Chats Comics. My name is Chris Gonzalez, and back again for another episode of Single Issue Sundays, the Monday edition. And apologies for not dropping it yesterday, Sunday, but it was Mother's Day, so I was spending time with mi madre. But yeah, this week going over 2 Marvel titles. We got a fresh new Image #1. And got DC, so it's a pretty stacked week. Well, of quality, that is. So let's get into it. So Single Issue Sundays is the video series where I do like a deep dive, discussion, recap, review of the issues that I picked up on this previous Wednesday on New Comic Book Day, and you can again check out my haul video when I first picked up the books. And sometimes I'll go over digital issues as well. No digital issue this week, again just 4 physical issues. And let's go ahead and start off with Marvel. So the first one we're going to go over is The Amazing Spider-Man, and this is issue number 28. And this is legacy issue number 992, so we're getting close to 1,000. So again, this is written by Joe Kelly. The pencils are done by Corey Smith and Francisco Mena. Inks are done by Oren Hunyar, Roberto Baggi, and Francisco Mena probably does the inkings on his own pencils. And we got colors by Marcio Menez and Eric Arcinega. And again, letters are done by Joe Caramagna. So this is where, in the aftermath of the Death Spiral crossover events with Venom. So this issue was more of just, an in-between arc issue. So the next arc, I'm assuming we're going to go into, we're going to introduce a new villain, and I'll get back to that in a little bit. But yeah, so this issue was okay. Again, Joe Kelly's run has been hit or miss, but digging the artwork, even though it had multiple artists, it was pretty seamless, so I appreciated that. So Peter, he's just reflecting, and this first page is pretty much just a recap of the past few story arcs. So during Death Spiral and a little bit beforehand when he was out in space, so he's just going over that. And then we get Doctor Strange shows up, and this is calling back to the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man storyline, which takes place immediately before Joe Kelly's run. Joe Kelly, I understand he did some writing in that, and excuse me, I did not read that run. I think it was just right after Zeb Wells, so that was like the bridge from Zeb Wells' run to Joe Kelly's run. And I didn't read it, so I really didn't have too much context going into this, but it was pretty simple. So Peter, based on what happened in the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man story, Peter has to close this time loop. So whatever happens back in that storyline will, stay true. So he's in a race to close that time loop. So, and on the way, of course, the Parker Luck, he has to take care of some things and some crimes. So again, the artwork was pretty good. First, he gets involved in a fight with Titania and Absorbing Man. And there is a just running joke, is Peter, he gets tossed into this hot dog cart, and there's just a recurring joke where he smells like hot dog water essentially, and everybody's just smelling him. So I thought Joe Kelly's humor is hit or miss for me. Sometimes it's all right, but sometimes it's whatever. But I did enjoy this part. So when Peter returned from space, the crew that he met came along with him. Well, some of them at least. His new alien girlfriend Rayleigh, I like her character. Simbi's grown on me. He's pretty cute. And this is Glitch, he used to be Peter's suit out in space. So they were infected by some, bacteria and like not viruses, but just particles in the air in Earth's atmosphere. They had to get used to it, so Peter took them to the Baxter Building so the Fantastic Four could, heal them and get them acclimated to the atmosphere on Earth. So Peter's just checking up on them, and I thought that was a pretty fun. I enjoyed that sequence. I enjoyed the banter between the Fantastic Four and everyone, and I liked how Johnny pretty much got jealous of Peter for hooking up with Rayleigh. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then we jump back to Peter's friend Brian. Again, he got Peter initially started the experiment and the project with him, but since Peter was away in space, Ben Reilly took over and worked with Brian on I think it's the I forgot what it was called, but it's like this fungus blending in with technology, and Ben Reilly, he was being a douchebag and caused this accident, and Brian got infected. So now, similar to like The Last of Us, he's like mutating into like this fungal creature, and again, it looks like we're setting him up as the next villain. So I've been interested in this storyline. So they're talking to him, kind of like the symbiote relationship. So I've been really enjoying that subplot. And so Peter, he goes back to his job at Rand's, and again, he's dealing with what Ben Reilly did, and he meets with his boss, Dr. O.M., and then his colleague. I forgot her name. I think it's Veronica. What is her name? I forgot her name, but they're telling him they have to investigate because the accident involving Brian was caused by some code that was inputted incorrectly, and you can see that Ben Reilly pretty much sabotaged the project, and we put Ben Reilly's better than Peter Parker. So Ben Reilly's kind of a dick. He caused all this, and just because he got jealous of Peter, so they temporarily suspend Peter while the investigation is ongoing. So, and then we get more hijinks with Peter's space friends in Times Square. And again, Peter is still on the clock with trying to close out this time loop, and he eventually does. So I guess this had occurred in the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man storyline, and again, I did not read that, so if you read it, this issue might have been more enjoyable for you. But so Peter, he's sulking based on all the shit that's going on in his life, and then this character, which again, I really don't really care about this character. His name is Kintsugi. He is actually Dr. O.M.'s son, and it's revealed that he has some type of illness, but I guess he takes some medication that allows him to be a superhero. I'm not sure. And he just has this conversation and about the origin of his name and his Japanese ties. So I thought this was a pretty wholesome conversation. And he's puts Peter in a better mood, and Peter realizes that, hey, a lot is going on in my life, but everything's going to be okay. So that's pretty much where it ends. Again, just a setup issue for the next arc. So artwork was cool, writing was okay, so it was enjoyable. I dug it. So that was Amazing Spider-Man issue number 28. And now the last Marvel title, we got Daredevil. This is issue number 2. This is written by Stephanie Phillips. The artwork's done by Lee Garbett. Colors are done by Frank Martin, and the letters are done by Ariana Mayer. This is also legacy number 689. So I really enjoyed the, again, this is the second issue of Stephanie Phillips' run, and I really enjoyed it. Enjoyed the first issue. So we begin with Foggy Nelson. He wasn't in the first issue, but we catch up with him. He's sleeping. It's really late at night, and Matt calls him and he asks Foggy to fill in for him at the Empire State University while he, does his Daredevil thing. But Foggy's living in Miami right now, and he's got a thing with him. got a thing with him. Okay, Foggy, I see you. But he tells Matt that he's not leaving Miami. So the last issue, Matt, while he was in his Daredevil costume, was attacked in his apartment by the new villain Omen. And Omen, kicked him out of the window, and Matt fell on a car. But Omen specifically said that he's essentially there to kill Matt Murdock, and Daredevil's trying to find out why. So he interrogates the owl to get more information. And I just thought, we'll go back to the owl actually. And then there's a subplot with these two detectives. They're investigating these murders that are happening where the victims, they have their eyes gouged out, but it's like perfect precision in the incision points. So they're investigating. So I'm finding this subplot. It's Detective Dominic Forte is the main detective, and his partner right here. They're in a corner, or totally butcher on the name. It starts with an M. You know what I mean. But they're investigating, and they're getting some leads into the murder and the various victims, and they're just trying to see how it ties together. So digging the artwork by Lee Garbett, it's fitting the gritty tone that Stephanie Phillips is establishing. And again, Matt, he is beating the shit out of Al's henchman, and again, he's trying to get more information. Again, look at how cool. Great artwork. So he's interrogating the owl, trying to figure out what he knows. Initially, this part was kind of, so-so, because the owl's like, I don't know anything, but I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you a lead, but I like that panel right there where the owl sees the silhouette of Daredevil in his eye. That was pretty cool visual. So it jumps back to the detectives, and they got a lead on this boat that was seized by the FBI. And again, there were some crew members that were murdered, and again, they had their eyes gouged out. So they're just investigating, and they get into this area where there's a bunch of eyeballs on the ground. So what's going on here? Again, is it Omen that's committing these murders? We don't know yet, but it's kind of leaning that way. So we'll see how that plays out. And then we cut back to Matt. He's back in the classroom, and he's, just having banter with that one girl. I think her name is Miss Baker, and she's kind of a know-it-all. So I'm interested to see how long Matt stays in the classroom as a teacher, and how his vigilante life will bleed over to his personal life, as it always does. And I thought this image was cool. They show that his shadow is like a silhouette of Daredevil, so I thought that was a pretty cool visual. So I'm definitely liking Matt in the classroom setting. I think it's a different dynamic to the Daredevil story, but Matt, he realizes that, Omen, he knows he's after Matt Murdock, so anything pertaining to Matt Murdock's life, like his job at Empire State University, he's putting his students in danger. And then he runs into this billionaire that actually has helped him get the job at the school. His name is Harlan Vale. So he's trying to get Matt's attention, but Matt, he blows him off. But this guy, I gotta feel, okay, my guess, and this might not even happen, this guy might be Omen. That's my prediction. This guy is Omen. So we'll see if that's the case. So Matt, he pretty much has a panic attack. He's thinking about Omen and where he can strike next. And then he's about to get run over. But meanwhile, the detectives, again, they're investigating the boat, and it looks like somebody is trying to involve Matt Murdock in the murders. So how is that all played? Again, I think Omen is involved. But then as Matt, he is having a panic attack and he's almost about to get run over, he gets swept up by Spider-Man. So we get another appearance of the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So that was pretty much it, the end of Daredevil. So that was issue 2. I enjoyed issue 1 a little bit better, but this, after rereading this, I didn't have enjoyment of this issue, so I'm curious to see how Spider-Man is going to come into play next issue and where the subplot involving the detectives goes, and just more dynamic, or more Matt being in the school. I really dig those sections. So that was Daredevil by Stephanie Phillips and Lee Garbett, issue number 2. And let's go ahead and go to the Lone Image title this week, and it's a new number 1, and this is called If Destruction Be Our Lot, and this is written by brothers Matthew and Mark Elijah Rosenberg, and the artwork's done by Andy McDonald. The colors are done by Francisco Segala, and the letters are done by Hassan Otsmane Elhal. And Hassan, he's pretty much the best letterer in the game, in my opinion, right now. He's everywhere right now. So shout out to Hassan. And I also wanted to mention I got the Jerome Opeña variant cover B. Loving the cover. So spoilers, I love this. This is in contention for my pick of the week of this week. I'm definitely adding this to my pull list, and I'll probably get the cover Bs, but it's set in a future dystopian society where pretty much all the humans are extinct, and what's left is just the robots. And we follow our main robot. He is an Abraham Lincoln animatronic, and he's pretty much the gist of the first issue. He's trying to figure out what his purpose is, because his purpose, while the humans were alive, were I guess we don't really know his backstory yet. We might figure out that later, but he's gives out these speeches, and he wants the humans to feel something when he gives out the speeches. But since there are no humans left, he feels like he has no purpose. So what is his purpose, without the humans? So that's pretty much the gist of the basic premise. And again, really digging the artwork by Andy McDonald, and all the other robots, they make fun of Abe because he looks like a human, and they call him a fake human and a fake robot essentially, and they're giving him a hard time. But sorry, my dogs wants attention, but not right now. I'm busy. But yeah, so again, the lettering definitely stood out for me by Hassan. Again, one of the best letterers in the game, and I just really appreciated the world building, and Andy McDonald's artwork really just expanded this world, and I really dug it. And Abe, he gets knocked out, someone throws something at him, he gets incapacitated for a little bit, and then when he comes to, this robot that just his sole purpose is to make breakfast comes by, checks up on him, and I really liked their banter with one another, and it was pretty humorous, and I liked the design of the robot. It was pretty cute. And yeah, Abe is just having this discussion with him, like, hey, what's our purpose, and what's your purpose, since you haven't made breakfast for a human in so long? What do you do? Like, what? And the breakfast robot, he malfunctions, and then these are called eaters, and whenever a robot's needs maintenance or is broken down, they come and essentially eat it and destroy it. So I thought this was pretty gruesome, and the design is pretty terrifying. So again, just the artwork though, really great. Story really engaging, and I really dug this. So Abe, he gets knocked out again, and he gets picked up by this automated bus, and I guess they're friends because they discuss each other's days. And again, Abe is questioning his purpose, and this is where the artwork by Andy McDonald really shines. So when Abe is on the bus, just each panel just goes over this city that they're in, and it really expands the world. So I'm really digging that, expanding the world via the artwork. So this bus, they come across this barrier, and they want to know. Abe wants to know what's on the other side, so he takes a nearby like robot head that's on the ground right here, and he just chucks it at the barrier, and the barrier opens up, and there's something out and beyond, and he wants to check it out. But before he can do anything, the Eater comes and chases Abe and the bus away. So what's going on here? What's, beyond the barrier? And in order to escape, Abe removes the automated driver robot and takes control of the bus, and so they can get away from the Eater. So I thought this scene and sequence was pretty thrilling. Pacing in this is really great. It was a little oversized issue, but pacing really great. So the bus now is on Abe's side, and the bus wants to, live their life and see what's out there in the world. But the automated driver comes back and attacks Abe, and I just thought the automated driver, and again, the shout out to really great lettering. The automated driver is like spewing out street names, so like next stop so-and-so street. So I thought that was pretty amusing. And then all of a sudden, Abe got control of the bus, and they're just cruising, and then they come across it's a human. So that causes them to spin out because they don't want to avoid hitting the human, and they go over this bridge. And then, so how many humans are alive? Is this person the only human left? So we'll have to see where that goes. So Abe gets knocked out a lot. He gets knocked out a bunch. So, and the bus is upside down. So eventually scrappers come to the location, but let's just look at the artwork. Really great artwork. Really great. So scrappers, they come, but then some police bots show up. They show up and they try to reprimand the scrappers, but Abe's like, hey, I saw a human. I saw a human being. We gotta look into this because this is crazy. And it's revealed that it's been 87 years, I think, since the humans went extinct. So yeah, but so immediately when Abe said that, the police bots are like, code red, and then like in the Matrix, they mind wipe all the surrounding robots, and they try to do it with Abe, but it doesn't work on Abe. So they take Abe and they put him in the back of one of the cars, and what's gonna happen to him? So why don't they want the knowledge of humans potentially living again to be out there? So this was a really fun issue. So I'm definitely going to add this to my pull list. I highly recommend if you're into sci-fi, if you're kind of got the Wall-E vibes. So if you're into if you're into the artwork, definitely recommend If Destruction, BR Lot. It's a story about the human, well, not human, just our life's purpose, and if we were destined or crafting our whole life to be a certain way, and if we're unable to perform or a certain duty, what is our purpose? So definitely recommend If Destruction Be Our Lot. That was issue number 1. And the last issue I'm going to go over is the lone one from DC, and this is Batman issue number 9. And this is written by Matt Fraction. Pencils are done by Ryan Sook. The inks are done by Wade Von Grawbadger. Colors are done by Tamu Mori, and the letters are done by Clayton Cowles with Ryan Sook. And Jorge Jimenez, he's not on this, but this was another great issue of Batman. I'm really digging Matt Fraction's run. It's been consistently great, consistently good. And there's been some great issues, but just a really solid run. So again, like I mentioned in a previous video, I think like this Batman runs has the potential to be one of the better Batman runs in recent memory. So last issue, Vandal Savage, he got approval from Gotham's new mayor, Pamela Isley, aka Poison Ivy, to essentially hunt down the Bat family and shoot them on sight. And you know, that's where we start off. So Bruce and some of the members of the Bat family are just preparing for the raid. So Batman and Barbara Gordon, aka Oracle, have given Signal, Duke Thomas, Batgirl, Stephanie Brown, and Robin, Damian Wayne a list of items that they need to try to retrieve so that the Gotham police doesn't get their hands on it. And so yeah, it's pretty much the issue. So Oracle, she's, you know, watching over them and just making sure they stay out of the clutches of the GCPD. And meanwhile, again, each member is going to a different bunker, just try to retrieve the items that they were listed. And yeah, so in Oracle, she directs them from the clock tower, so she's giving them instructions. And yeah, meanwhile, Bruce, he's having, we're not sure what it is. I think Matt Fraction confirmed that this is not an AI version of Alfred, obviously, but again, Bruce, he's not all there in the head, but he's having these hallucinations, these visions of Alfred. And this is the one critique. I just thought, you know, part of this conversation that he has with Alfred was pretty touching because, again, he's struggling to connect with Damian and he thinks he's a failure of a father, but you know, Alfred is trying to give it some otherwise, and he's just trying to tell Bruce, like, hey, like, you gotta cut Damian some slack, because, you know, it's not gonna be perfect, but you need to be the father, you need to be a father to him, not just Batman. And but by the ends, there's this one right here, there's this, I'm not sure if it's Bruce being sarcastic, but it said like, I don't miss you at all, Pennyworth. I'm glad you're dead. And Alfred replies, I shall see you in hell, Master Bruce. Good luck. So I don't know. That kind of was a little weird. So I'm not sure why they put that, but again, each of the Bat family, they're trying to avoid capture, and you know, Stephanie Brown, she takes out some of these cops, and then they're asking, yo, where's Tim? And then we catch up with Tim because, again, Tim had essentially quit being Robin to, you know, date this dude, and I just do not care about the Tim subplot. I just don't care. It doesn't interest me at all. Tim Drake's not my favorite Robin. I'm gonna say it. I know people love Tim, but he's not my favorite. So yeah, we just catch up with Tim, and yeah, he's doing whatever. And I just Batman, earlier he had given Damian certain task, and he actually, to show that he has more trust in Damian, he switches tasks with Damian. So Damian's out somewhere, and Signal, because initially Damian was supposed to be like the backup if anybody needed backup. Signal calls out Damian, but Damian's like, sorry, I'm busy doing something else. Backup's on the way though, and then Batman ends up being the backup. So I thought that was pretty cool. He helps Signal. Thought this was a fun sequence. initiates the bat bollards that come out from the grounds to stop this police. And meanwhile, Oracle sends Stephanie to this particular bunker, but it's a trap. And then I don't know why it looks like that. It looks like Barbara Gordon, she opened up a signal that GCPD can trace. I don't know why she gave herself up. Maybe it's all part of the plan. So Barbara Gordon gets caught. And this will lead directly into her new ongoing series, Barbara Gordon Breakout, which releases her first issue comes out this week. So I thought this issue of Batman was a perfect setup and transition for the new Barbara Gordon series, and I think that's going to be written by Mariko Tamaki. But then we have Damian. They're out somewhere in this field, and him and Bruce have a heart-to-heart conversation, essentially, you know, saying that they're gonna trust each other more, and you know, it was a good father-son moment. And they're right outside the old Wayne Manor, and it was revealed that Damian had set up charges underneath the manor and blew it up. So Vandal Savage, he was staying at the manor, so this is sending a message to Vandal Savage. And then we get everybody's watching the newscast of Barbara Gordon being transferred into a jail cell. And that's where the issue ends. And again, this is going to lead into her new ongoing series. So very exhilarating and fast-paced issue of Batman. Again, it's been really fun, and it's just great storytelling by Matt Fraction, and I'm excited to have Jorge Jimenez back on the artwork. And yeah, just again, can't recommend Batman enough. So this was issue number 9. And that was it. Those were all the issues that I read this week. Let me know if any of those books are on your pull list, and if you read them, what are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments and let me know. So yeah, that was it. That was Single Issue Sundays, the Monday edition. And thank you for watching the video. Leave a like on the video, share it if you can, subscribe to the channel, because I am trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, that's it. So my name is Chris Gonzalez. This is Chris Chats Comics, and I'm out. Peace. Read your comics.